Hi everyone, welcome to a very wet but very lovely Western Isles of Scotland. I just wanted to do a little video on the way we manage the ponies and manage the land, especially this time of year. So at the moment it's August and we've had a bit of rain, the grass is growing really fast. So I have to limit the grass that the ponies have access to because they're Shetlands and they're quite prone to laminitis. But I also have to be very careful of what land they're allowed on because I don't want them to destroy the land. Here we're in the Atlantic rainforest, so the ecosystem and the biodiversity here is really special, so it's very important we protect that. So with that in mind, I thought I'd just show you how we're doing things at the moment. So the land is split up into sections and I just use electric taping for that, and each year I adapt it slightly. In fact, from week to week I adapt it slightly, depending on what the ground needs and what the weather's doing, what the ponies need. But basically, we have a central yard area, which is just down there. This is all a little bit scruffy at the moment. We have a new barn built soon, and at the moment we're making do. So there's a yard area there, there's the barn, and then the container that we keep all the hay in, and then our muck heap is down there. And all the water is up there. And there's a nice big hard standing area. So if it's really wet and I can't put them on the ground at all, I actually just fence this area in and they just live on the yard for a day or so and eat hay if the ground is absolutely saturated and we can't go out. Then we have other areas of land around here, and these are all rested and grazed systematically, so the grass is never allowed to go down any further than 5 centimetres, and when we fertilise we keep them off that section for a while, so we do everything in sections. So the bit I'm on now, this is our very muddy path, which will be hardcore shortly. We need a path here because the ground is a peat bog, and there's another way for the horses to get from the bottom where the barn is to the grazing up here without having a path. So we've got a path in place, and it also means that if the ground is really wet and I can't let them on grass, or if they've got laminitis has jumped up on us quicker than we were expecting, it means that they've actually got a pathway that doesn't have any grass that they can have hay put out on, and we can increase their movement. They have another area here, Snooks area of woods. This is being rested at the moment because it was used all last winter and the beginning half of this year when we didn't want them to have any grass access at all. So that's just being rested and let to come back to life a little bit, give the soil a chance to recover, give any wild flowers a chance to seed. So they're off there for now. But this little path here, again, a bit soggy, this takes us over to this part of the property. Our property is a little bit random because it folds around the house into what was the garden, but it is now just wild grasses, native grasses. And I've created a pathway that comes down and then they disappear behind the shed, under the tree, and they're into this bit of grazing. So rather than giving them access to large amounts of grazing, because they would just stuff themselves full, even if I limited the time that they're on it, I give them small amounts of grazing and monitor how much grass they're eating. So I make sure I pull them off that before it gets below 5 centimetres long, becoming too stressed and starts producing more sugar. And also if the ground gets really wet, I'll pull them off it and put them back on the yard. So that's basically how we do it. And then it also means, because this piece of grazing is quite a long way relatively from the barn, they move from here all the way back to the barn for shelter and water, and then all the way back out again to eat. So it creates a lot of movement back and forth. There's Pixie. And once this area has been grazed down a little, or it becomes too wet, then I'll open another part of the grazing that's long forest grass, and they can go onto that, and we'll rest this section. So it's just keeping an eye on the ground all the time and making sure that it never gets used too much or gets completely churned up. So the areas that we have that are churned up and don't have any grass on, like these ones we don't want grass on because I need an area that has no grass when I need to withdraw them completely for whatever reason. But there are also areas that we've removed a lot of rhododendron from. So there's parts of the woods where actually there was no grass to start from because the rhododendron just completely killed it, and we're giving it time to recover. But it's also quite handy to have those areas without grass on them. We have our little bridge here that goes over our little trench. I'm trying to get the drainage in place so that the ground isn't too soggy and can recover nicely with lots of biodiversity in the ground. There we go, I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have different ways of managing your horses. I think the key thing to management is make sure that you have it so it's adaptable for your horses on your land, with the systems that you can create. I think it's very difficult to have a one-size-fits-all program for managing horses, but we're just being aware of the impact on the land, impact on the environment, impact on our horses, and the financial impact on us. Okay, I hope that was helpful. See you again soon.